It's smooth.
That's a good car.
Not good.
You don't like it?
Well, I wanted you to turn on your music.
Well, I don't know how to turn that radio on.
But I do.
You do?
I do.
So as you guys can see, this is not a 67 to 72 Chevy pickup. So, yeah. Never thought I'd actually get my hands on one of these. I've always been a big Grand National fan. But, yeah, I never thought I'd get an 86 Monty SS. This window tint is horrible, by the way. I feel like I'm going to the strip club or something, or inside of one. It's kind of weird, but yeah, so far with that horrible antifreeze leak, it's not overheating. I'll have to get it. I got to figure out what's up with that. But so far, it drives good, it shifts good. This car has little to no rust on it that I can find, which is good for me. But yeah, I mean, I really like these G bodies, man. I always just wanted to get my hands on one. We're gonna pull over here at Quick Trip. We're gonna check the antifreeze because I got about 35 minutes to get to work. So yeah, it's nice to pick one up and drive it home, you know. So, well, I haven't made it home yet, but just to be able to drive it, the heater's working. So yeah, it must be old car today. There's a 71, 72 Chevy Fiero. But yeah, I'm gonna put some gas in this thing.
Three-car lineup here.
I'm telling you, man, you don't really get this very much, do you?
Vintage.
I'm telling you. I just sold one just like that, a 72 Longhorn, big block. Yeah. Those are my favorite pickups, man. Yes, sir. Well, gas cap's missing, so let's pump some gas in it. So yeah, 1986 Monte Carlo SS. Needs a paint job, but man, you know, this is the models that the doors are very heavy and they shut like a dream. But man, and even the front nose is in really good shape on this car. Usually these are pretty torn up. But yeah, I could use a little paint job, but it's got brand new Cooper Cobras on it. 305, 700 R4. But yeah, I got to get this window tint off of it. It is, and it doesn't have T-tops. So awesome, awesome deal with this. But yeah, pretty cool little car. I like it. So there's the vitals. Tacking the dash. Tell you what, I'm liking the crap out of this thing. So far, it runs like a champ. Gas pedal's a little stiff. It's got some glass packs on it. It sounds good. Yeah, this car's got a really good feel and it rides fantastic, man. I thought Chevelles rode good, but this thing may be just a little bit softer. So yeah, I definitely can see why these cars are very popular. But man, you just don't see them that much. So after the first wash, it cleaned up pretty well. I'm really becoming fond of this one. I definitely see what the hype was about these cars. Like I said, this thing drives really well. But man, that front end, look at that. That looks so good. It's a shame this paint has done what it's done, but yeah, we've cleaned the inside of it a little bit. I got to get rid of those skull things like that, but wipe the interior down a little bit. Next move is I'm going to remove the seat covers and all that kind of stuff. But it's starting to look pretty sharp. Very sharp. I wish you guys could see these windows. Well, you saw the windows previously. Let me get this. That's another thing too. These 80s power windows, they're slow, but look at that. You will literally just glow red inside this car. All right. But yeah, I got to get this red window tint off of here. So here it is, 1986 Monte Carlo SS. After a good cleaning up, doesn't look too bad. Again, the window tint looks horrible. I'm gonna get that redone here pretty soon. I'm pretty sure I got to do like the plugs, wires, and a good tune-up. But other than that, I think it's gonna work out pretty good. Looks like I pulled it straight from the Breaking Bad production, like it was used on Better Call Saul or that movie.
Don't take a picture of me.
I'm not. Yeah.
Here, look at this.
Pulling the cream soda straight out of the seat. Ew. My goodness. That's what 30 years of use in grime looks like.
On the passenger
On the
seat.
passenger seat. Man. Isn't that crazy what a car goes through in 30 years? Well, it's got to be more than 30 years. 35 years. Man. It's looking good, though. All we got's the back window and all the tint will be off. Good morning. So I was going to attempt to drive this to my grandpa's house, but you notice we got the hose on it. Let me show you what I've figured out. So when I was messing with it the other day, I noticed the radiator cap was bad, so I put a new one on, a 16-pound, and fired it up this morning and let it warm up. It is pouring antifreeze, and that makes sense since it pressured up. And they put a water pump on it. I can't see where the water pump's leaking, but it seems like it's leaking where the hose slides up over the neck of the water pump. So I'm gonna pull this lower hose and run down there and buy a new one because it looks original to the car. And I'm gonna go ahead and change that. And then we'll try to fill it back up and see if that fixes it. And I'm also gonna do a little more inspecting on it. But yeah, let's pull that hose off and let this thing drain. The level seems to be down pretty good. You know, you probably can't see that, but try to see if we get this figured out. But yeah, this is a cool car. And if you notice, we got some of the window tint off. My wife's been killing it, man. She's cleaned the whole inside of it, shampooed all the stuff, and then now there's the hair dryer. She's working on getting that off, but I got to get a scraper. That way it makes it come off a little bit. That one's coming off in like 2 sheets or whatever, but she's doing a wonderful job. I am very blessed to have somebody help me do this. And this is kind of, aside from that El Camino I had, because I was asking my wife, she goes, it's nice to get something that has some upholstery in it where everything else doesn't have any. So, but let's get that hose off. We'll run down and get one. So yeah, we pulled it off. You can see right there it's split. And look how soft that hose is. I mean, it's in bad shape. And then the spring's falling apart in it. I can get that clamp off of it, but I'm thinking right in there is where it was leaking at. You can see it's from that clamp just pressing down in it. Actually, looky there. It's got a little bit of a crack under that. So yeah, I'm gonna run down and get a hose. All right, let's grab this. Let's get this machine ready to go. Lay that back on the ground. Very nice. Got a bunch. Ooh, there's my coveralls. I've been looking for those. Let's throw that back there. Let's roll. All right, I would say I found where this thing was leaking at. See my thumb sticking through there? So yeah, it was right under that clamps where it cut it. So yep, we'll go ahead and put this new one on and try to get this thing filled back up with antifreeze. Got my generator running with the battery charger on it, trying to warm it up. All right, got the hose on there. I decided to go ahead and pull the smog equipment off because it's not hooked up. And it's not hooked up doing anything. No belt, half the hoses and plugs weren't on it, so I just removed it. I'm not throwing it away, but I will put it away. But yeah, it's on there. That opened it up where I could get to it. I did put that little spring back in the hose to keep it from deflating as you're driving, because the engine will actually suck it flat once the hose gets a little wear on it. But we're gonna fill it full of antifreeze and get this thing fired off. Well, what would be a simple fix is turning out not to be the petcock that I used to drain the radiator. Has looked to me like it's snapped out. So either I'm gonna have to get another radiator or try to twist that little thing inside, but I've got to pull the radiator to do it because on these cars, the frame is just right in the way. I can't get anything to it, so I'm gonna have to pull the radiator. So I'm not sure it's looking good for this thing, because this is supposed to be, from what I gather, squeezed together, and that'll turn and twist. But when I press it in there, it doesn't turn and twist. And I'm wondering if I can get these needle nose to turn. It's not looking good. Let me just give it a try. All right, so I got a replacement part for it. It shows to be the only piece for that. Oh, I didn't open the door, darn it. All right, thank God it went back in there. It's tightened. I'll never touch it again. Let's put this thing back in there. See what Matt thinks about this. We always get something new and we got to go show it to the other buddy. We'll get his first drive and thoughts about it. Well,
I like it.
not a bad car, man.
That's comfy.
It's smooth.
That's a good car.
It sounds pretty good, actually, with those glass packs and stuff.
Yeah. Runs good, rides good. Comfortable. They're good seats.
Oh man, those seats feel really nice. say, I told myself I wasn't going to get anything else. I was looking for another C10 pickup. But sometimes you come across cars that you didn't necessarily know that you wanted. They just had to present themselves. And that's the way a lot of things that I end up with, that's what they do. This car here, I've usually got, my mind's on Chevelles, El Caminos, C10s, Camaros, stuff like that, because that's all really what I've been into, Blazers, stuff like that. But Broncos, kind of the normal mainstream stuff. But I didn't really think of anything about Monte Carlos and stuff, and you don't see these cars all that much. So when this presented itself, and I'm not a big 80s, 90s car guy, I like them, that's what I kind of grew up around and stuff, but as far as like, I was into the older muscle cars and the vintage pickups and 4x4s and stuff. But, my grandpa had he had a T-Type and a Grand National, stuff like that. I was real little when he had those. I remember them, but I don't. But, in the past 20 years, I've only came across just a couple of these cars and seen them, so I didn't really know that I wanted to look for one, and I have no recollection even driving one. So when this car came up, and the fact that it didn't have T-tops, because most of these do, I went and looked at it. I had to jump on it. So I've done some research. I've looked it over. We've done a little bit of prepping and cleaning and stuff on this car. We're going to pull over up here, and I'm going to go over some things that I've found and I've learned about this car. Let's check it out. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but one of the things I want to do is the instrumentation lights in the dash do not work. When I turn on the headlights, they don't do what they're supposed to do. So also, you can see the turn signals on, and the oil pressure gauge is acting up. The speedo is about 5 miles an hour off, which that's not too bad. And the tach is about 500 RPMs off. So I'd like to remove that cluster, see if it's the printed circuit on the back. But so far everything works. They're just kind of wonky. So that's one of the things I want to address right off the bat. Okay, so I was hoping to get a lifted view where we could go over the bottom of the car and check things out. But so far I have found there's no rust repair that needs to be done on this car. So that is a plus, and that's a big, out of the norm for me on these kind of cars, because usually everything I get's rusty and cruddy and all that kind of stuff. So what we have here is a 1986 Monte Carlo SS. I've done some research and everything. It is a real super sport, which I know that it's the 80s, that doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's on the 8th digit of the VIN, it's got a G, which says, shows the super sport. It's factory, and I looked up all the RPO codes. There's 3 pages of options on this car, but one of the options I'm very, very happy about. But one of my most favorite things, the option that is not on here, is the T-tops. That is one of the main reasons I bought this car, because the lack thereof. T-tops, yeah, they're cool, but they leaked water. They're not good structurally if you ever want to put a hot motor in it. And so, yeah, I'm very glad it doesn't have those. Now, the car has the B4V Performance Package High Output Motor. Now, it's the 305. I don't know how much horsepower that is, but it can't be much more than 200. Now, I know everybody, it's not an SS, blah, blah, blah. These cars are anemic. They don't have any power. That is true. But also, if you go back to when cars had 350 horse, 300, they were only 13-second cars. Your Hemi Challenger, it was slow. It wasn't very fast. Your 350 horse, 396 Chevelles, they ran low 14s, maybe a high 13. Now, those were good bolt-on cars. You could bolt parts on them, and they would go faster. But, these cars have excellent suspension. The interiors are a lot nicer. Yeah, they are a little bit more plasticky, but they're just a 383, 400 horsepower motor and a stall converter away from being a pretty quick car. This car has 373 gears, the 200 R4 transmission. It's got a lot of good stuff, and it handles really well. It's got the F41 suspension. So, I mean, the D80, I think that's what that was, D80, the spoiler. I mean, it's a pretty darn good little car, you know, good project. And really, in this day and age, they're getting very, very hard to find. As I had stated before, I haven't hardly seen very many of these in the last 20 years of me messing with cars that was even worth really messing with. And if I did see them, they were already really, really nice. Now, it does need a paint job. And that may be on the list of what I do if I decide to keep it, which the more I drive it, the more I really like it. Now, it needs your typical stuff. I think it needs some valve stem seals on the engine and everything because it smokes a little bit when you first start it, but the engine's strong. It runs good. I mean, you would think this had a 350 in it. It moves around really, really well. And I have to thank my wife. She put in a lot of work. She stripped all the tint off the windows. That was a really hard job. And then the interior, she cleaned it all up, shampooed, vacuumed all the carpets. The interior in this car really turned out very, very well. I mean, I got to give it to the guy I got it from. He did take pretty darn good care of it. But there's quite a few little things that I want to go over and straighten up. Like this car also came with those N90 factory aluminum wheels, and I actually have those that I've hoarded up forever. That'll be the next thing we do. I'll get this car jacked up. We'll look underneath it, go over it, and then I'm going to restore those wheels. And the previous owner put brand new 235 6015s on it, so I'll just transfer these over to the factory style wheels. But it's just got a lot of little things, you know, that can be gone over. I'd kind of like to change the tailpipes on it. Just first one thing and two, but, you know, maybe work up to getting this car painted, because this thing, it's not often that I get a car like this that I can get out and drive. So yeah, if you guys like what I've got going on here, subscribe. Check this out. There's going to be a lot more with this car, I feel. I'm very, very happy with it. I mean, like I said, you don't usually find these, and it's really neat. You find the car that you didn't know you was looking after, you know? So I have to give it to the previous owners. Thank you for selling it to me and taking good care of it. Like I said, that guy's owned it since 2005, and it's been his primary car since. So yeah, I'd say he's taken pretty good care of it, and I've got a lot of little things I want to do, but I'm really thinking the main thing, I'd like to repaint it. And oh, one more thing. I'm going to have the windows retinted on it and everything, so they'll be, you know, black and dark and everything. They'll look really nice. So hopefully just make a nice little street car out of this, and maybe, I don't know, I'd love to put a little 383 stroker in it or something like that, something that runs pretty good, give it a little bit more horsepower. But I think I'm just going to do like a tune-up on it, you know, get some things figured out on it, but mainly focus on getting that paint job done, because I think this will make a fine, fine automobile. So thank you guys. I hope you like it. Like I said, I was going to get another pickup, and you just never can tell, man, what falls in your lap, what opportunities present themselves. So yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.